Race for the Golden Boot. Erling Haaland will hope to add to his tally of 36 when City go to play Brighton in midweek. He's got Brentford away next Sunday as well. But what an impact Haaland has made. And what a team. What champions Manchester City are.
Yeah, and you have to love his spirit, his enthusiasm, his desire just to get the next goal. That's all that's on his mind. And there were times when people began to doubt whether he was going to suit this team, but it's all been...
I think they've let us down in any way, shape or form, have they?
No. What a wonderful picture that is. Sean, you can resonate with that in terms of son and parents.
Yeah, it's definitely emotional for him, and it's a proud dad right there. I think his son, I don't think he would have thought his son would have done as well as he has done, but he's come here and he's just shined. Like, he's come from a great place and he's come and made a great place even better for me in my idea.
Well, his dad was always making sure it was nowhere else but Manchester City where he wanted his son to play, but he probably couldn't have dreamt it'd go this way in his first season.
I think you'd think you could anticipate it could go well. I don't think you could have envisioned it could go this well in terms of quantity of goals that he scored, but he got off such a quick start. You know, he's a young lad. He's only going to get better and better. You know, I just think the thing I like him, he doesn't over-celebrate. You know, it's like a business transaction for this guy to score goals, and he wants to get better and better, and he's in the perfect place to break all the records.
Two younger half-sisters there with Erling Haaland. A real family moment for the Haaland family. Let's get some more player reaction. Let's go back to the Etihad with Manish.
Thanks, Steve. Bernardo
could yet be 3 trophies for Manchester City come the end of the season. They could complete the treble. They already know, Shay, that they are the champions of the Premier League. They knew that before they kicked off against Chelsea after Arsenal were beaten by Nottingham Forest. And as far as the table is concerned, well, Arsenal then will finish in second place. Newcastle and Manchester United just 1 point away from their remaining games from finishing in the Champions League places. Then it's Liverpool in 5th. Brighton will definitely be playing European football for the first time in their history next season, and they're probably going to finish in 6th. It'll take a massive goal swing for them to finish out of there. And Aston Villa and Tottenham still chasing down European football. A couple of bits and pieces still to be decided at the top of the table. We'll have lots more chat about that in the final 2 Kelly and Righties of the season. With us for this one, Karen Carney and Miguel Delaney. And not here in person, but here in spirit, Righty with the Premier League trophy.
Just to finish the show with. Delivered by one member of the family for the other.
It's not funny.
Right.
It's not funny.
You sure?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Yeah.
Sean, come in and join us. We've got a minute
all the
left.
time.
Look how I'm dressed. I'm just bringing the crowd down.
Come on, see you, mate.
Nice one. Did you see his apron?
Huh?
Nice one, man.
Love it.
Do they keep the same ribbons?
Are you getting used to seeing those ribbons now?
Well, I did say at the start of the season we did the show, didn't I?
You did. You also promised you wouldn't rub it in your dad's face, but...
Like Dad said, sometimes when you get it, you have to keep it going. You have to be involved in it, so, yeah.
That's
you know, it's
got
such
me
a shame. It's too close. It's too close. I don't like I'm going to have a word with Dolly and all them lot about this because I don't like the way this has worked. I've had so much... My club has given me so much love and fun this season, trying to go for it. But again, you know, we're coming up against a monster in City and they've deserved it with the way they've finished this.
They were, of course, the 2 Premier League winners, father and son combination, Righty with Sean Phillips there. Great weekend for Manchester City, but sealed before they even kicked a ball.
Yeah, that was the only thing about yesterday. We were going to the stadium yesterday and thinking, if Arsenal had beat Forest today before, it would have been extra special, you know, because there's a bit more to it, a bit more age on the game. But at the same time, you know, you Man City players take it when they can. And of course, I think at one stage of the season, they were 8 points adrift, weren't they, of Arsenal? So there was pressure at a stage, but I think they've won 12 Premier League games on the bounce now. They've shown why they're champions again, and it was a special atmosphere after the game with getting the trophy and all. And you can see the players are talking John Stones and a few of the lads. John Stones 5 Premier League titles. I spoke to Phil Foden off the camera. 5 Premier League titles. He's 22 years of age. We mentioned the treble at the top of the show. How many trophies these guys going to win? But it's yeah, I think they had a few celebratory drinks last night, should we say, Kelly?
Yeah, I would imagine that now is the time to do
Yeah, I
it.
think
There's
so.
just enough time to recover before the FA Cup final, the Champions League final for those City players. But look, as Shay was saying, it's just been relentless between whenever it was, 12 games ago, from being beaten by Tottenham to this run that could end up as a record equalling 14 straight wins to end the season.
It's unbelievable. Like, I don't know what the shift was. Do you know what really pushed them into like sixth gear, really, and goes, right, we're going to turn the heat up now. And I don't know what it was, because they just absolutely like a train, and no one could stop them, and it's just been remarkable. And to do it season after season, it's 5 out of 6 now, is just unbelievable. And I felt they found the formula, but I thought maybe with the World Cup break, it might have given teams another opportunity where that formula might have been broken, because they usually start the season off quite slow and then they get stronger, stronger, stronger. But I thought maybe this might be the season. I think we're all thinking maybe it is Arsenal's time. But just to turn the heat up, and you mentioned the run there, Shay, it was just incredible. And they haven't done it easy. You know, teams are beating them along the way, and you're thinking, OK. But I don't know, it's just Pep Guardiola, isn't it? We could talk about so many things with City, but for me it's about if they didn't have him, they wouldn't be City.
Yeah, and 5 of the last 6 Premier League trophies have been won by Manchester City. And as the guys have been saying, we've seen them do it in different ways. What we haven't seen is them chase in quite the way that they have had to chase this Arsenal side.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the closest is probably 2019 with Liverpool. Liverpool had a lead for some time. I think it was 7 points at that January game when they beat them 2-1. The ball cleared off the line from John Stones. But never like this. I mean, this was a bit more like, I suppose, their first Premier League title in 2012, where they hauled in Manchester United. And United actually had a similar, not quite the way what happened to Arsenal, but there was those 3 games.
Then they
on.
wobbled a bit, gave it back to Manchester United, and then beat them in the run-in.
That's exactly it, and that's what's so different about this City, in that it's just been, and I suppose the evolution they've been on since 2012, where at the moment they're unstoppable. I mean, it's not just about all the wins. In that run, in that final 14 games, they've only been behind for 10 minutes. They've been, I think the stat is, they've been 2-0 up or 2 goals clear 50 times more than they've been losing, which is so the regular state is winning games.
And it does feel like City winning at the moment is an inevitability, and that's why people are talking about the treble. We'll talk about that a bit later on, after we've reflected on this season. And you picked out some of the players there. I mean, you look at that squad, and they are they're not quite as young as Arsenal, but it is a very youthful squad with more titles in them.
Yeah, well, Haaland joined last year. Of course, we'll talk about the no number 9 or a false number 9, and we mentioned about maybe they've put the inverted fullbacks, or John Stones has played that role. Karen, you mentioned before, you know how well he's done that, and Pep always seems to revolve his systems or his team or his squad. Because we talk about the great Alex Ferguson over the years, he kept the team kept changing, the squad kept changing, but they kept winning titles, didn't he? And Karen's right, it's Pep Guardiola. It's that Pep Guardiola effect, as if, like, as you're right, there's a slow start to the season, then the World Cup, then it was like, right, jokes are over now. We need to put the foot to the throttle here. We need to get the title win. We need to, Arsenal were looking brilliant at that stage. Let's not get away. And there's even Ian Wright was talking about it in the studio, saying that this is our year. And to be fair, I think from a Man City point of view, they were very worried, because there's only a gap you can give, and they want to be 3 games to go. We would never have thought that when Arsenal were 8 points clear. So you have to give them great credit for that, the players and the staff. But then you maybe look at the Arsenal side of things. I wouldn't say the word bottle. Did they crumble? Did they, they've got a young, inexperienced team, have not been here before. Has the pressure been too much? Has it got to them? Because looking over your shoulder, there's this juggernaut of a football club and a team and a squad and a manager. They're coming chasing you hard, and it's a difficult one to shake off, I think, perhaps.
Yeah, and also they knew that in that second group of fixtures there was the postponed Manchester City fixture, so they had to play City twice, even with that 8-point advantage. So there were always 6 points that could be clawed back by Manchester City at that stage. But in terms of those players coming to form at exactly the right time, that's what's been crucial to them having this run into the end of the season. You mentioned Haaland. And obviously there were questions at the start of the season, seems a long time ago now, about whether or not it would take anything away from Manchester City. Haaland certainly added plenty of his own. But do you think that we've seen at the end of the season, the latter stages of the season, that City have managed to keep everything they had last season and add Haaland to it, rather than maybe a period of adjustment at the beginning?
I think, though, Pep did come out in the press at one point and said, I needed more from you. Excuse me, I think he came out and was like, I need him to press more, I need him to come to feet more. it was a bit like, whoa, look at the stats that he's delivering, but he wants more from him. And I do think you're right there, Kelly. I think they adapted him right at the peak at the right time. But I don't think it was plain sailing. Even though he was getting the goals, we were still talking around, it doesn't feel right. He's making runs, they're not finding him. It's still not, like, clicking. But I think he started to click when Stones went and played as a centre-back and then started going into centre midfield. And they started to then kind of also pick his best team at times. I think he was chopping and changing. I don't know whatever that reason is. But part of me also kind of thinks, you mentioned like titles there. And I think why I mentioned about Pep, it's not easy winning titles. Like winning one is like a challenge. But I think the hardest thing is winning back-to-back titles because there's so much pressure on you. And I think getting there, it's fun, it's exciting. But to do it, and that's why I go back to Pep, is like, how do you motivate your players to do it season after season? We've seen lots of clips of them doing their inspirational talks. How do you do it? Is it bringing a centre forward and challenge your team? Is it actually dropping or challenging Kyle Walker? You can't play that position. Or is it Stones? I'm going to educate you to play a position that you don't know, that you've never played before. And is it I'm going to scare Arteta saying, you might try what I've done previously because I've effectively coached you, but I'm going to take you to another level? It probably is all of that, but you're right, Kelly, he's just doing it throughout the season to then go, at the end of the World Cup, we're not messing around now. Like, we've tried and tested, but we've got to go to another gear now.
I think that is one of the stories that's come out, not so much after the World Cup, but more so after the Forest game, which is the last time they dropped points. The squad got together under Pep and basically said, right, enough is enough. They discussed the whole situation, what was going on, and basically said, we're going to get in gear. And that was also follow on just after the World Cup. I mean,
mentality that Manchester City have doesn't happen without him, and we'll focus on that. But just to sort of concentrate on some of the players for a while and the performances that they've put in over the season. Obviously, it's always De Bruyne, but again, not played in every single game this season. He's been used in a way that's allowed him to peak at the right time as well.
Yeah, and I think he's followed with Pep a couple of times as well over the course of the season.
But they've talked about that tension between them, about how De Bruyne will shout at Guardiola on the training ground.
I think Kevin, to be fair, he plays on the age a bit as well. I was at the Madrid game during the week when he had a spat back. I was just right in front of where I was sitting, and they both had a bit of a row together, you know. But I think Kevin's that sort of individual. Sometimes he needs a rocket to get the best out of him. But you cannot talk about Man City and not talk about Kevin De Bruyne. He's been absolutely special. And we talk about the link-up play with Haaland being a signing as well. Jack Grealish this year. I mean, there's so many positive. You know, Phil Foden can't get in the team, for example. Mahrez can't get in the team. Bernardo Silva, I thought, was brilliant the other day as well. It's just the quality throughout the team. We talk about John Stones, and rightly so. He's an unsung hero. We talk about maybe Ake, not so much, because there's so many of these superstars. But Ake this year has been brilliant at the back. Ederson again has been pretty solid. I don't know. There's a very few weaknesses, and I think if you're going to be Premier League winners, that's what you need. Very few weaknesses, but. As Karen says, it's the psychology of it all. So they win the league now, and even we'll talk about the treble maybe a bit later, but they've got two massive trophies still to play for. So how does Pep get the psychology of the team right, lads? All right, let's enjoy the moment for maybe we might have had a few drinks last night, but come back down to earth today. Got Brighton on Wednesday, we've got Brentford next weekend, but we've got Man United the week after in the FA Cup final, and we've got Inter Milan in the Champions League final. So how do you get the psychology right? We have to come back down to earth, start from scratch nearly again, and try and be this historic season that they think they can be.
Sure,